Lauren Boebert is working overtime right now to not be Trump's next target after what happened to Massie. Boebert famously endorsed her colleague, Thomas Massie, who Trump had been feuding with over Massie's obvious objections to the war in Iran, as well as his continued call to release the Epstein files. Cenk, what do you think she'll do next?
I can't wait to find out. Okay, so I don't want to ruin the surprise for you guys. Let's find out if she's fighting back or she's like, no, Mas, I'm good. Trump, Israel, what do you need?
Okay, well, her support of Thomas Massie it had helped to embolden Trump to call for her to be primaried, something that cannot be done considering Boebert is running unopposed and the deadline to file has long since passed. So that's a non-starter. But Boebert offered a tepid response to Trump's call for her ousting, saying she knew the risks when it came to supporting Thomas Massie. Massie obviously went on to lose his re-election efforts, as you all know, when his campaign was massively outspent by tens of millions of dollars by AIPAC aligned sources to elect now Ed Galbraith. And Boebert addressed the defeat by posting this to X. She said, "Yes, I saw the president's post. No, I'm not mad or offended. I knew the risks when I agreed to stand by my friend Thomas Massie. I was and will be America first, America always, and MAGA onward." So she kind of said a little bit of both, right? She's trying to play both sides a little bit. So the president who called for her to be primaried is still her president. And it's just it's interesting how she's trying to reconcile these two sides of her. In an appearance on News Nation, Boebert did expand on the Massie race. So let's watch that.
Of course, I am sad that Thomas Massie lost his reelection. This was the most expensive primary race that we have ever seen. This was historical. Not only was America watching, but the world was watching. And it was certainly unfortunate for him to lose. But I stand by everything that I did in this race. I announced that I was for my president, Donald J. Trump, and also I was going to stand by my friend Thomas Massie. And I think it's okay to do both. You don't have to be a rubber stamp for the president to support him and to align with him and also follow his agenda.
Okay, so Lauren Boebert is a very interesting figure. She kind of has always been. Now, despite being an avowed MAGA loyalist, Boebert has broken with Trump in the past. And this is over water legislation in her state. And most famously, when she was one of only 4 Republicans who voted along with Massie and Khanna to petition the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Her recent endorsement of Massie was the latest rebuke that she made against the president. And yet she still found time to say this.
Thomas Massie's race with this closed primary, the president certainly deserves his victory because he clearly won with his message to the Republican voters in that district.
Okay, so Massie is a Republican just like Lauren Boebert is, yet in her summation of Massie's race, there was no mention of AIPAC or direct criticism of Donald Trump. Now compare that to Democratic Congressman Khanna, and here's what he had to say about Massie's race.
You think they ousted Mr. Massie because he was leading on the Epstein files?
They ousted him because he was leading on the Epstein files and because he was leading the push against the war in Iran and because he was leading the push saying we can't give another dollar to Israel while it's violating human rights.
I think you need another Republican partner to push forward if this goes to next Congress.
Well, Thomas is still here for 7 months. I wouldn't underestimate him. Look, we're going to do a lot of things in these next 7 months to hold the Epstein class accountable, to stop these foreign wars. But there were voters under 45 who voted for Thomas at over 30%. Let me tell you something. These young voters, they're done with the old guard. They're done with lectures about how AI is going to be good. They're done with people who want to just give money to foreign wars. And we welcome them in a new populist Democratic Party, a Democratic Party that's going to say, we're done with the establishment. We're a party that's against the Epstein class. We're a party that's for taxing billionaires. We're a party that is against foreign wars. We're a party that doesn't want more aid going to Israel, that wants jobs programs here. This is going to be the movement that helps build a majority in this country. And people have had it with the establishment of both parties.
Absolutely, people have had it with the establishment in both parties. I'm a millennial and I feel this so deeply in my heart, in my soul. So, we heard the distinction between Boebert's response and Khanna's response. The likelihood of Lauren Boebert now going full Marjorie Taylor Greene and breaking with Donald Trump and even fighting with him publicly it looks a little slim, right? That's not going to happen anytime soon. But given the fact that Trump effectively did scalp Massie, as well as Louisiana Republican Bill Cassidy, whom he also endorsed against, you can understand, I guess, that Boebert is a little hesitant to outwardly condemn her president, right? She still called him her president. There's a lot going on here. It is infuriating to see what's happening when so much money can come in from outside sources and influence our elections. This is like obvious election interference, and we're all just letting it happen. And by we all, I mean like our people, our representatives in government who are doing nothing about this. The most we have now is just like Khanna out there fighting for his life and just speaking out against Donald Trump. But he's already a Democrat, so he can't be attacked that way by Donald Trump. But we are seeing there is a little bit of silver lining here. The fact that it took so much money to get Thomas Massie out, that is encouraging. Those poll numbers from the previous story, very encouraging. It says a lot. What is frustrating to me, and this is something that Khanna just touched on, is like the fact that they clearly have an agenda that they're trying to push on the American people, whether that's the war in Iran, whether that's the slush fund or the ballroom or AI even. They say we're gonna do this, and in order to get buy-in from the American people, their plan is just to tell us what we're supposed to think. And when we say no, that's not what I think, that's not how I feel, they just say no, no, no. But this is really what you think, right? AI is not that bad. It's not gonna be so bad. Like whatever your concerns are, don't worry about it, because here is what we want you to think. And maybe that's our fault for letting them think that they could just tell us what to think. But we need to stop doing that. What are your thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, so look, I might have a surprising thought on Boebert here, but first, I mean, Roe's answer was picture perfect. That's exactly right. And so, now it's easy to say, well, he's a Democrat, so he can do that. But, well, why aren't other Democrats doing that? Did we see any other Democrat talking about how young people were for Massie and Massie wanted to release the Epstein files and did, along with Roe? And he was against the war, against Israel's efforts, and on those issues, attaboy. No, I didn't see any other Democrat doing it. And then has Khanna been attacked recently by Trump for doing that, even though he's not a Republican? Yeah, of course. Trump did a couple of Truth Social posts about him last week, ripping into him and how dare he and all this stuff. Good, good. That means you're getting in his grill and you're bothering him. And Roe doesn't do it with a lot of theatrics. He does it with actual policy and passing bills, like getting the Epstein files released. So that's great. So he's on the Democratic side. Now go over to Boebert on the Republican side. So I'm gonna say I think that it was actually relatively well played by Boebert. I get it. Now I want to be clear about the difference between politics and policy. So in terms of policy, she didn't call out AIPAC at all. She didn't talk about how Israel helped to buy that election, spent $16 million against Massie. So I don't agree with that at all, of course. I think that Israel did buy that seat, and I think it's super obvious. Right now, the media going around going, oh no, the $16 million had nothing to do with it. Oh, you cannot say it was Israel. It was Trump, it was Trump, it wasn't Israel, it wasn't Israel. Please don't look at Israel, please don't. What are you, weirdos, you freaking propagandists posing as reporters? Was the 16 million relevant in that race in the 4th district of Kentucky? Of course it was massively relevant. So I don't agree with her avoiding that issue. And do I agree with her on Trump and how he's her? No, of course not. But in terms of politics, she's saying, look, I'm sticking with my friend Tom Massie, who I backed, and I thought he had a great race. She didn't have to do that. She could have done full kowtowing. I'm so sorry. Of course, Trump is the greatest, right? She didn't do that. I'll give her a little bit of credit for that. Now, at the same time, she agrees with Trump, an overwhelming majority of the time, over 90% of the time. So she's not on our side. So she's saying, yeah, I'm still with Trump on all this. And plus, she doesn't want to get, attacked even more by Trump. So she's trying to backpedal out of the room. I get it. And then I like how she said in the middle of her tweet, if you notice the first thing that Yaz showed you, Trump, my friend is great, Trump is my president, Jesus is Lord. Wait, how did Jesus get into this picture? Because she's like, now don't hate me, Jesus is my Lord. But fine, that works with her constituents. So I get why she's trying to straddle the line without being an absolute coward and groveling to Trump. while at the same time not trying to dig deeper because the two people who dug in deep were Tom Massie, and he just lost that race. Yeah, of course, because of the Israeli lobby, but also because Trump came out against them, and Hegseth and JD Vance and all of them campaigned against them. And then it was 55-45. He still got 45% of the vote, which is huge for that district where Trump won by 30, if I'm not mistaken. And still to have that kind of pushback against Trump. But at the end of the day, those two things did him in. And then of course, the other person who fought back against Trump was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she left. So I get why Boebert played it this way. I'm not gonna catch too many feelings over it, but certainly not also a hero's path either, don't get me wrong, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, now she left, but she's spitting fire on social media saying Massie was right, this was all about Israel, Trump is totally wrong, and what are we doing with the ballroom and the slush fund, and all this is nonsense. So she hasn't gone full Marjorie Taylor Greene yet. She's trying to thread the needle here. One more thing, Yaz. I loved Massie's line when he was conceding on Tuesday, where he conceded. He called Ed Galrine and said, "You won, I lost, and good luck with the job." But he did throw in a little jab there, where he said, "Well, I did have a little bit of trouble getting through to him since he's in Tel Aviv." So I like that little snipe.
Yeah, right. And like speaking of Massie's race as well, I think it's important to remember, like as you kind of pointed out, he still performed incredibly well in that race. Again, considering the fact that tens of thousands of outside dollars were thrown at his race. And this is also just like a statewide congressional election for the House. Like usually, like these races do not cost this much money, right? Like they barely cost $1 million sometimes. There was what, $35-40 million put into this race. It is incredible. And also the fact that he closed that Trump margin by so much, right? He lost by 10 points, I think it was. And I mean, that's incredible, because that is definitely a lot less than what Trump won that district by. So there is some hope to be found there. Also the fact that a lot of these Trump endorsements, those candidates are not going as far as they used to. There is a world, or there is about to be a world after Donald Trump. There's going to be a Republican Party after Donald Trump. We're gonna have to see what that looks like, but it makes sense that people like Lauren Boebert are trying to kind of toe that line, find where they can still be relevant in Congress, still standing up somewhat for what they believe in. I feel like she could do more. I want her to do more, but I'm not disappointed because I have very low expectations. But they are trying to figure out how can they stay relevant while also not alienating themselves from the existing party as it is. Because even once Trump is gone, that Trumpism, that MAGA-ness is still going to be lingering in our Republican Party and in our country for a long time. So that is something we're gonna need to deal with.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.